When I was really young, I lived across the street from a golf course, and I would go across the golf course into the woods beside it, and I would find golf balls that the golfers had hooked off into the woods. And I would go out there with a bucket and I would collect them, and then I would go back to the clubhouse and I would sell the golf balls back to the golfers for a quarter apiece. This net me quite a bit of cash, enough that I was able to save up and buy my second home console. My first home console was the Magnavox Odyssey that we had got secondhand, and I had picked up my second home console, also secondhand, from a guy that worked with my mom at the pharmacy, and that was the Atari 2600. Now, you're probably wondering, why am I telling you about this? Well, one of my favorite games on my Atari 2600 was Enduro. Enduro was this racing game, a traditional arcade racer where you just had to drive down the road. You would go left and right. There wasn't a lot, there wasn't much to it other than you just wanted to pass cars. And you drove through different environments, be it snow or fog or whatever. And it was extremely simple. There was very little going on in the game, but I remember playing that game a lot. And I remember dumping a lot of quarters once I was older, once I was probably in my teenage years. I remember dumping a lot of quarters into games similar to that in the arcade. Games like Cruisin' USA, or I think there was another one called Test Drivin'. And these are the kind of arcade racers where you had a certain amount of time that you could play, and you had to hit the checkpoints in order to extend your gameplay. Now, the reason I'm bringing up these really, really old games is because Horizon Chase Turbo does what these games did back in the day. It strips away all the extra cruft and just gives you a fun racing experience. And I have really enjoyed the time that I've spent playing Horizon Chase Turbo so far. The graphics, let's start by talking about the graphics. The graphics remind me, how do I want to say this? The graphics make me feel like what I thought the graphics of Enduro looked like when I was a kid, if that makes sense. These are not the state-of-the-art graphics. These are not photorealistic racing that you'll find in Forza or whatever, or Gran Turismo. These are certainly low poly. This is a low poly affair. But it makes me feel like, oh, this is what my brain thought that Enduro looked like when I was a little kid. And it's really good. I love the low poly stuff. It's got a style, an art style. And it's so often these days that games go for photorealism, which looks amazing now, but in a couple of years you're like, whoa, when did we ever think that that looked good? You know what I mean? Whereas this, it has a style. And in a couple of years, we're still going to look back at Horizon Chase Turbo and we're going to be like, that game looked really cool, and it still does. And it's because they didn't go for photorealism. They went for a specific quality. And I love what they did with it. The colors are vibrant and pop. And I think my favorite level so far is Los Angeles at night. They've got these really super bright purples and oranges, and it just looks amazing when you're driving down the road, and you can see the Hollymood, and yes, Hollymood, not Hollywood. You can see the Hollymood sign in the background. It's such a beautiful game. I really, really like the way that Horizon Chase Turbo looks. The sound effects are okay. The music is really good. I like the music a lot. The music is by a guy, I'm scrolling because I can't remember, by the same composer of Top Gear and Lotus and TC2 and Rush, and it's got some pretty decent music. Like, my wife came upstairs and she was going into the bedroom for something. I said, honey, come look at this game. And she rolled her eyes and humored me, and she came in and looked, and I was like, oh, this is really cool. This is the kind of game that I played when I was younger. And she looked at it and she goes, I really like the music. That's the first thing that she noticed about it. The music is really good. I like it a lot. If you are curious as to what the music sounds like, go to horizonchaseturbo.com, scroll all the way down to the bottom of the screen, and they've got a playlist there that you can check out so you can hear what it sounds like. I think it's really cool. I'm a fan of the music for Horizon Chase Turbo. So, what's the game like? Well, like I said already, it's an arcade racer. There's no weapons or anything like that, but what you have to do is you start at the back of the pack at the beginning of the race, and you have X number of laps to go around the track and pass other cars in order to get out front. As your car passes other cars, little chat bubbles will pop up from your car, little quips from the driver who's kind of taunting the other drivers, although I can't imagine that they'd be able to hear them, but that's okay. They're funny, and you can turn those on or off if you like. On every track, there are tokens that you can pick up. It makes you want to go back and play level again, even though you got first place. And that's the thing about these kind of games is you can hit third place and keep moving on, but you want to go back and try for first place. And then when you get first place, you want to go back and try and get get all of the tokens to get the best score. And as you complete races and grab tokens and continue playing, you open up things that unlock upgrades to your cars, and the upgrades will upgrade all of your cars the same way. So throughout the game, you'll unlock different cars, but as you upgrade, all of your cars get upgraded. So it's not like you have to say, well, this car has this kind of acceleration, so I guess I'm going to put extra grip into that one, or extra steering into that one in order to balance things out. As you get an upgrade, all of your cars get upgraded, which is pretty cool. So you end up upgrading your car, you end up unlocking other cars, and as you collect the points that you earn by playing the game, you will unlock other places to race. And there seems to be quite a lot of places that you can race. So far, I have seen California and Chile and Brazil. So I've gone through 3 different worlds. Each world has 3 different races in it, 3 different, competitions in it. Each competition has 3 races, and then there's also a 4th race that is on on each zone, I guess is what you would call it, that unlocks a piece of equipment for your car. It's really fun. The controls are really, really good. It plays really well in handheld, just as it does in the docked mode. I think that Horizon Chase Turbo is really an awesome game, and if you've got the time for a simple, quick arcade racer, then you should definitely check it out. It feels like something that was grabbed out of the 80s and pulled forward, and somebody told the developers of the game in the 80s, and they said, look at what you can do with the graphics now. And they're like, oh, well, let's try that, because it looks really awesome. They've also got this cool new feature that's called Playground Mode. And for Playground Mode, it's basically this rotation of competition. And every time it's going to be 5 new races. And these are going to be time-limited tracks that will have things like time attack, or a race with no opponents, or changes with the weather and the time of day, or maybe the races are mirrored, or you have infinite nitros that you can use, because usually you only have 3 except for the others that you can pick up. Maybe you can only use certain cars. You're going to compete with other players with a leaderboard, both global and friends only. And it stays for the duration of the season. I don't know how long the season is, but it seems like they're going to be supporting this game for some time. I think that this is a gem of a game on the Nintendo Switch, and I can't wait to get in my ridiculously sleek car, slam down on that gas, and listen to the awesome music of Horizon Chase Turbo.